The massive alien ships appeared in Earth's sky without warning. They hung over major cities like dark clouds, terrifying everyone below. People stopped what they were doing and stared upward. Some cried. Others prayed. Many tried to flee, causing traffic jams on highways leading out of cities. World leaders gathered quickly for emergency meetings. Military forces went on high alert, but they knew their weapons would be useless against visitors who could cross the stars. 3 days after their arrival, the aliens finally made contact. They called themselves the Tyrannian Galactic Empire. Their message was simple: Earth now belonged to them. Taeho Kim stood in South Korea's military headquarters watching the alien representative on screen. The being had metallic skin that reflected light in strange ways. It spoke perfect English in a voice that sounded almost mechanical. "Your planet has resources we require," the alien said. "Your people will work to extract them. Resistance will result in punishment." President Garcia of the United Nations Security Council tried to negotiate. "We welcome peaceful exchange, but Earth belongs to humanity. We can discuss trade agreements." The alien cut her off. "This is not a negotiation. To demonstrate our power." The screen switched to satellite imagery of a small uninhabited island in the Pacific Ocean. A beam of light shot down from one of the alien ships. When it disappeared, the island was gone, leaving only churning water. "Tomorrow, we begin installation of our authority," the alien said before the transmission ended. In an underground base near Seoul, Captain Jaiwo Park received urgent orders. Her commanding officer, General Sun Woo, looked grim as he spoke through the secure video link. "The world governments are surrendering," he said. "We have no choice. But Project Ascendant continues in secret. Your team is now our most important asset." Jaiwo nodded. She had spent 5 years working on the experimental spacecraft that incorporated quantum field manipulation technology. It was supposed to be humanity's first true starship. Now it might be their only hope. "How long do we have?" she asked. "They're setting up bases worldwide. Starting resource extraction within weeks. They seem to be ignoring our research facilities, considering them primitive. Use that to your advantage." The Empire moved quickly. Within days, they had established massive structures in strategic locations. Their ships hovered over major cities, ensuring compliance. Human governments remained in place but followed imperial directives. Anyone who resisted disappeared. Jaiwa's team worked around the clock in their hidden facility beneath the ocean. Unlike the public research centers, their base was completely off the grid, powered by geothermal energy that masked their signature from imperial scans. 1 month after the invasion, Jaiwo met with her core team. Do-Hyun Lee handled navigation systems. He had been a commercial pilot before joining the military. Hyejin Kong was their weapons specialist, quiet and intense. Miho Choi, a brilliant physicist, had developed the quantum theories that made their project possible. "The prototype is at 70% completion," Jaiwo told them. "But we need to accelerate our timeline. The Empire is moving faster than expected." "My sister works in their mining operation in Australia," said Do-Hyun. "The conditions are horrible. 16-hour shifts. People collapsing from exhaustion." Hyejin pulled up satellite images on her tablet. "They're building something big in the Sahara. Some kind of processing facility." "What about our quantum drive?" Jaiwo asked Miho. He smiled slightly. "It works in simulations. The Empire's technology is advanced, but they rely on conventional physics. Our approach is completely different. They won't expect it." 3 months into the occupation, the true nature of the Empire's plans became clear. They weren't just taking Earth's resources, they were taking its people too. Transport ships began moving humans off-world to work in Imperial facilities across the galaxy. Families were separated. Resistance was met with public executions. Fear became the Empire's most effective tool. Jaiwo received word that her parents had been selected for off-world transport. That night, she stood looking at the nearly completed Ascendant spacecraft, its sleek hull gleaming under the lights of the underwater hangar. "We're not ready," Miho said, joining her. "We never will be," Jaiwo replied. "But we have to try anyway." A week later, Imperial forces raided a suspected resistance base in what used to be Canada. They executed everyone they found and bombed the surrounding area as a warning. That same day, Jaiwo called her team together. "The Ascendant will be ready for testing in 2 weeks," she announced. "After that, we make our move." No one asked what that move would be. They all understood the stakes. Earth was dying under Imperial rule. Their experimental ship, overlooked by overconfident conquerors, was now the last, best hope for humanity. 3 years passed under the harsh rule of the Tyrannian Empire. Earth changed beyond recognition. Once green landscapes were now scarred by massive mining operations. Cities were transformed into processing centers where humans worked endlessly to extract resources for their alien masters. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, hidden from Imperial sensors by layers of water and special materials, Jaiwo Park and her team continued their work. The underwater facility hummed with activity as engineers and scientists worked around the clock on the Ascendant project. The ship itself rested in a massive chamber at the center of the facility. Unlike the bulky Imperial vessels, the Ascendant was sleek and elegant. Its hull incorporated new materials that absorbed rather than reflected scanning beams. But its true innovation lay inside. Miho Choi stood before a glowing blue sphere contained in a transparent chamber. This was the quantum core, the heart of their revolutionary propulsion system. He made small adjustments on a control panel, watching as energy patterns shifted and changed. "How's it looking?" Jaiwo asked, entering the room. "Better than expected," Miho replied. "The quantum field is stable at 97% efficiency. The Empire has nothing like this technology." "They don't need it," Jaiwo said. "Their ships rely on brute force and overwhelming numbers. They've never needed to innovate." In another section of the facility, Hyojin Kong fired a small version of their quantum-shifted weapon at a target made of Imperial hull material. The beam passed through the armor as if it wasn't there, hitting the sensor behind it. Hyojin nodded with satisfaction and made notes on her tablet. The team gathered that evening in the small cafeteria. Besides the core members, the project now included 50 of Earth's brightest minds, all working in secret. "We intercepted new Imperial communications," Do-Hyeon said, sharing data on the main screen. "They've discovered deposits of rare minerals in Earth's crust that they didn't detect initially." "What kind of minerals?" asked Jaiwo. "Elements that don't exist in our periodic table." "They're excited about it." "Too excited." Hyojin frowned. "What does this mean for us?" "They're accelerating their extraction plans," Do-Hyeon continued. "At the current rate, they'll strip mine 30% of Earth's habitable surface within 5 years instead of 20. Silence fell over the room as they absorbed this information. "Then we need to accelerate too," Jaiwo finally said. "How soon can the Ascendant be ready for a test flight?" Miho considered. "The quantum core is stable. Propulsion systems are at acceptable levels. We need another month for the shield matrix integration." "You have 2 weeks," Jaiwo decided. Later that night, Jaiwo sat alone in her small quarters looking at a photograph of her family. Her parents had been taken off-world 2 years ago. Her brother had joined a resistance cell in what used to be Germany. She hadn't heard from him in months. A soft knock interrupted her thoughts. It was Sungo, one of their newer recruits who had escaped from an Imperial labor camp. "Captain Park? We've received a message from the surface resistance. Imperial forces raided another science facility in North America. They're getting closer to finding patterns in our communication." Jaiwo nodded. "Tell Do-Hyeon to change our encryption protocols again." After Sungo left, Jaiwo returned to her family photo. Everything depended on the Ascendant now. Not just a ship, but a symbol of what humans could achieve even under the boot of an empire that considered them primitive. The next 2 weeks passed in a blur of activity. The team worked in shifts around the clock. The shield matrix was installed and tested. The quantum weapons were calibrated. The navigation systems were programmed with the coordinates of known Imperial facilities. On the final day before their scheduled test, Jaiwo gathered her core team on the bridge of the Ascendant. The ship's interior was compact but efficient, designed for a crew of 12. "Tomorrow, we take her out for the first time," Jaiwo said. "If everything works as planned, we'll have created something the Empire has never seen before, a ship that can outmaneuver their vessels and penetrate their defenses." "And if it doesn't work?" Hyojin asked quietly. "Then we die knowing we tried," Jaiwo replied. "But I believe in what we've built here. The Empire overlooked us because they thought humans were simple. That was their mistake." That night, as most of the facility slept, sensors on the outer perimeter detected unusual movement in the water above them. Imperial scout vessels were conducting a sweep of the area, their scan patterns more thorough than before. Jaiwo was awakened by an urgent call. "Captain, they're getting closer to our location. New scan technology. Our dampening measures may not be enough." She sat up quickly. "Wake everyone. Prepare the Ascendant for immediate launch." Their timeline had just run out, alarms blared throughout the underwater facility. Red emergency lights flashed in every corridor. Scientists and engineers rushed to their stations while security personnel grabbed weapons. "Imperial vessels directly above us," Do-Hyan reported from his station in the control room. "Their new scanning technology is penetrating our outer shields." Jaiwo made a quick decision. "Begin evacuation protocol. All non-essential personnel to the escaped submarines. Head for the backup locations." She turned to her core team. "We're launching the Ascendant now." Miho looked up from his tablet in shock. "The quantum core stabilization isn't complete. We need at least 12 more hours." "We don't have 12 minutes, Jaiwo replied. "Can it function?" He hesitated, then nodded. "At 82% efficiency. It's risky." "Better than being captured," said Hyojin, already gathering her equipment. Through the facility's external cameras, they watched as 3 Imperial scout ships hovered above the ocean surface. Beams of light penetrated the water, searching methodically. The staff moved with practiced efficiency despite never having expected to evacuate under real conditions. Most headed to the submarine bays. The core team and 6 essential engineers rushed to the Ascendant's hangar. Inside the massive chamber, the prototype ship waited. Its smooth hull gleamed under the lights. At just over 100 meters long, it was tiny compared to Imperial warships, but its design incorporated everything humans had learned about both space travel and the Empire's technology. "They've detected something," reported Seo Jun from the security station. "Imperial ships are deploying underwater drones." Jaiwo and her team boarded the Ascendant quickly. Each went directly to their assigned station on the compact bridge. Miho immediately began the quantum core activation sequence while Hyojin checked weapon systems. "Drones will reach our outer doors in 3 minutes, Do-Hyan said, monitoring the facility's sensors. Jaiwo sat in the captain's chair and activated the ship's systems. Displays lit up around her. "Miho, status on the core?" "Powering up. Reaching minimum activation levels now." The entire ship hummed as energy flowed through its systems. Lights flickered briefly, then stabilized. "Hull integrity at 100%, reported Hyojin. "Shields charging." A loud explosion shook the facility. "They breached the outer doors," Do-Hyan said, his voice tense but controlled. "Hangar doors opening," Jaiwu ordered. The massive doors above the ship slowly parted, revealing dark ocean water. "All systems online," Miho confirmed. "But the core stability is fluctuating between 70% and 80%. "It will have to do," Jaiwo said. "Prepare for emergency ascent." Water began pouring into the hangar as the doors fully opened. Imperial drones appeared at the facility's inner doorways, firing energy weapons at the remaining personnel. "Engaging vertical thrusters," said Jaiwu. The Ascendant lifted smoothly from its cradle. "Activating bubble shield." A transparent energy field enveloped the ship just as it entered the water. The Ascendant rose rapidly through the deep ocean toward the surface. Imperial vessels have detected us, warned Dohayan. They're repositioning. The ship broke the surface in an explosion of water. Above them, the three Imperial scout ships immediately changed course, converging on their position. Weapons charged, Hyojin reported. Hold fire, ordered Jaiwu. We're not engaging yet. Full power to engines. The Ascendant shot forward across the ocean surface, accelerating faster than any Earth vessel had ever moved. The Imperial ships pursued, firing energy beams that the Ascendant's shields absorbed with minimal damage. Our shield technology is holding, Miho said with surprise in his voice. They can't lock onto our core signature. They're calling for reinforcements, Dohayan reported, intercepting Imperial communications. Larger ships inbound from the Australian base. Jaiwo studied the tactical display. We need to leave atmosphere before they arrive. Take us up, maximum thrust. The Ascendant tilted upward and accelerated. The blue sky darkened as they climbed higher. The Imperial scouts followed, still firing unsuccessfully. Approaching edge of atmosphere, reported Dohayan. Core stability at 75%. 5 Imperial cruisers launching from Australia, Hyojin warned. Intercept in 7 minutes. As the stars became visible above them, Jaiwu made her decision. Prepare for full space jump. Miho looked concerned. We've never tested it outside simulation. No time like the present, Jaiwu replied with a grim smile. Plot course for the outer solar system. Near Neptune's orbit. The ship cleared Earth's atmosphere. Behind them, the Imperial scouts continued pursuit while the larger cruisers rose rapidly from the surface. Full space drive charging, reported Miho. Core stability dropping to 65%. Will it hold? Jaiwu asked. It has to, he replied simply. The closest Imperial scout ship managed to score a direct hit on their rear shields. The Ascendant shuddered. Now, Miho, ordered Jaiwu. Miho activated the full space drive. For a moment, nothing happened. Then stars streaked around them as space itself folded, carrying them instantly across millions of kilometers. When reality stabilized, Earth was just a distant point of light. Neptune's blue form dominated their view instead. They had escaped. The Ascendant drifted silently near Neptune's orbit. Inside the ship, the crew worked to repair systems damaged during their hasty escape. Core stability has improved to 91%, Miho reported, looking up from his station. The full space drive performed better than expected. Jaiwu nodded. And our position? We're hidden behind one of Neptune's moons, said Dohayan. Imperial ships haven't followed us here. The bridge fell silent as everyone considered their next move. They had escaped Earth, but what now? Where could they go? Hyojin spoke first. We have a choice to make. We can hide and hope to find allies among other species subjugated by the Empire. Or we can fight back. With one ship, someone asked. One very special ship, Hyojin corrected. Our weapons and drive systems are unlike anything they have. Jaiwu studied the star map displayed on the main screen. One location was marked in red, a gas giant near Alpha Centauri that served as the Empire's regional command center. We know from stolen data that the Imperial command fleet is stationed here, she said, pointing to the red marker. 27 warships, including their flagship, the Subjugator. You can't be suggesting we attack them, Dohayan said in disbelief. Jaiwa's expression remained calm. That's exactly what I'm suggesting. For several hours, they debated the plan. It seemed impossible, one small ship against the might of the Imperial fleet. But as Miho and Hyojin explained the unique capabilities of their quantum technology, a slim possibility emerged. 3 days later, the Ascendant activated its full space drive again. The ship reappeared at the edge of the Alpha Centauri system. In the distance, they could see the massive gas giant planet with its swirling storms. Around it orbited the Imperial command fleet, enormous warships that dwarfed the Ascendant. They've detected us, Dohyan reported. But they're not treating us as a threat. Just an unidentified small vessel. Of course not, said Miho. Why would they? To them, we're just a primitive species with no space combat experience. On the Imperial flagship subjugator, Admiral Krell received the report of an unknown vessel entering the system. Origin, he asked the subordinate. Appears to be from Sol system. Earth design. The Admiral made a dismissive gesture. A single human ship? How did it even get here? No matter. Let it approach. Could be interesting to examine their primitive attempt at space travel. Back on the Ascendant, Jaiwu activated the ship-wide communication system. This is Captain Park. We're about to engage the Imperial fleet. Our plan relies on their overconfidence and our technology. They don't believe we're a threat, which gives us the advantage of surprise. She paused, looking at each person on the bridge. No matter what happens next, remember that today we fight not just for Earth, but for every world suffering under Imperial rule. The Ascendant moved deeper into the system, heading directly toward the fleet. Imperial scanners continued to track them but made no hostile moves. They're hailing us, said Dohyan. Ignore it, ordered Jaiwu. Bring weapons systems online. Prepare quantum shift technology. Hyojin's fingers flew over her console. Weapons hot. Targeting their smallest destroyer first. Take the shot, Jaiwu said quietly. A beam of energy, barely visible to the naked eye, shot from the Ascendant. It struck the Imperial destroyer. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then suddenly, the destroyer's engines exploded, followed by its command center. The ship drifted dead in space. On the subjugator, alarms began to sound. What happened? Demanded Admiral Krell. Unknown weapon signature, sir. It passed through our shields as if they weren't there. Impossible. Launch fighters. Destroy that vessel. Back on the Ascendant, Jaiwu remained focused. Target the next ship. Evasive pattern Delta. The small Earthship moved with incredible speed and agility as Imperial fighters swarmed toward it. Hyojin fired the quantum weapons again and again. Each shot bypassed the powerful Imperial shields, striking vital systems with perfect accuracy. A second destroyer exploded. Then a cruiser. The fighters couldn't land a hit on the rapidly moving Ascendant. They can't adapt to what they don't understand, Miho said, monitoring the quantum core. Their shields work on conventional physics. Our weapons operate on a different principle entirely. Admiral Krell watched in growing horror as his fleet was systematically destroyed by a single small vessel. All ships, concentrate fire, he ordered. The sky lit up as dozens of energy beams converged on the Ascendant's position. But the small ship's quantum-shifted shields absorbed or deflected each attack. Core at maximum efficiency, reported Miho. Shields holding. Ship after ship fell to the Ascendant's weapons. The Imperial formation broke as vessels tried to escape. None succeeded. Finally, only the massive flagship remained. Jaiwu ordered Dohyan to open a communication channel to the entire Imperial network. This is Captain Jaiwu Park of Earth, she said, her voice calm but strong. Your fleet has been defeated by a single ship you deemed primitive. Remember this day. Remember Earth. We are coming for our freedom. With that, the Ascendant fired one final time. The subjugator, pride of the Imperial fleet, erupted in flames and then went dark. David had defeated Goliath. News of the Imperial Command Fleet's destruction spread across the galaxy like wildfire. At first, the Empire tried to suppress the information, claiming it was rebel propaganda. But Jaiwu had broadcast the battle across all Imperial communication channels. Soon, recordings were being shared on every subjugated world. The Empire's response was chaotic. For the first time in centuries, they faced internal conflict. Military leaders blamed each other for the catastrophic defeat. Politicians demanded explanations. The Emperor himself, a being rarely seen in public, called an emergency council meeting on the Imperial throne world. How could one primitive vessel destroy our entire regional fleet? He demanded. No one had a satisfactory answer. The humans had developed technology that operated on principles the Empire had never explored. Their arrogance had blinded them to Earth's potential. Meanwhile, the Ascendant was racing back to Earth, carrying both victory and valuable Imperial data. During the journey, the crew analyzed information stolen from the subjugator before its destruction. Look at this, Miho said, showing Jaiwu a star chart. These marks indicate worlds with active resistance movements. There are hundreds of them. Jaiwu studied the map thoughtfully. We're not alone in this fight. When they reached Earth's solar system, they found increased Imperial activity. More warships orbited the planet. Ground forces had intensified their control measures. They're scared, Hyojin observed. They're trying to prevent Earth from becoming another rebellious world. The Ascendant remained hidden behind Mars, using its stealth technology to avoid detection. Jaiwu sent coded messages to resistance cells on Earth. 3 days later, they received coordinates for a secret meeting. Under cover of darkness, the Ascendant landed in a remote mountain region. Leaders from major resistance groups worldwide had gathered in an underground bunker. When Jaiwu and her team entered, the room fell silent. An older man stepped forward. I'm Juno, Western Hemisphere Resistance Coordinator. We've seen what your ship did. Is it true? Did you really destroy their command fleet? We did, Jaiwu confirmed. And we brought back their technology and tactical data. The room erupted in cheers and excited conversation. For 3 years, the resistance had fought a losing battle against overwhelming odds. Now, suddenly, there was hope. Jaiwu connected her tablet to the room's main screen. The Empire is vulnerable in ways we never imagined. Their technology is advanced but stagnant. They haven't faced a serious challenge in centuries. She displayed images of the quantum core and weapons systems. We can build more ships like the Ascendant. And we're not alone in our fight. The meeting lasted through the night as they formed plans. 6 new facilities would be established in hidden locations around the world. The Ascendant's technology would be shared with all of them. Over the next 6 months, Earth changed again. Imperial forces tightened their grip on population centers, but their control of remote areas weakened as they concentrated their resources. Underground factories began producing components for new ships. Scientists and engineers who had been forced to work on Imperial projects disappeared, joining the resistance effort. The Empire sensed the shift. They increased patrols and punishments. Public executions became common. But for every person they killed, 2 more joined the resistance. On a stormy night in what had once been the Brazilian rainforest, Jaiwu watched as the second prototype ship, Ascendant 2, prepared for its first test flight. Nearby, 4 more vessels were in various stages of completion. Captain Park called a young communications officer. We're receiving a transmission on the secure frequency. The message came from a system 12 light-years from Earth. A species called the Nalari had overthrown their imperial governors after seeing the broadcast of the Ascendant's victory. They were offering an alliance. Within weeks, similar messages arrived from 3 other systems. Inspired by Earth's example, subjugated worlds were rising up against their oppressors. The Empire found itself fighting on multiple fronts for the first time in its history. Its vast forces, once sufficient to maintain control across the galaxy, were now stretched thin. Every time they suppressed one uprising, another began elsewhere. 6 months after returning to Earth, Jaiwu stood on the bridge of the Ascendant 2. Around her, a crew of Earth's finest prepared for their first mission. In orbit above them, 4 more ships of the same design formed Earth's first true space fleet. Representatives from the Nalari and 2 other allied species waited to meet them at coordinates deep in what had once been secure Imperial space. Together, they would plan coordinated strikes against Imperial strongholds. As Earth grew smaller in the viewscreen, Dohyan spoke quietly. Did you ever imagine this when we were working in that underwater lab? That we'd be leading a galactic rebellion? Jaiwu shook her head. No. But the Empire made one critical mistake. They overlooked us. They thought we were primitive and weak. They never considered that being underestimated might be our greatest strength. The small fleet of Earthships disappeared into foldspace, heading toward their rendezvous with allies. The tide had turned. The empire that had stood unchallenged for millennia now faced a fight for its very existence. And it had all begun with one overlooked prototype ship.